Do you ever feel like you're just, well, stuck in a loop, perpetually busy, always working, but not really moving forward?
Oh, absolutely. Or like that feeling of real freedom is always just kind of around the corner, but never quite here.
Exactly. That sense of being overwhelmed, maybe,
Yeah.
like the to-do list just never, ever ends.
Hmm.
And you're wondering, is there a better way?
Yeah, it's a super common feeling.
Well, that's precisely what we're plunging into today. We're going to really unpack how to reclaim your schedule, your energy, and, yeah, most importantly, your freedom.
And we use a fantastic guide for this.
We are. Our main source is Dan Martell's incredible book, Buy Back Your Time. Get unstuck, reclaim your freedom, and build your empire.
And what's really key, I think, is who he wrote it for.
Right. He makes it super clear this isn't just for, big shot entrepreneurs or CEOs. It's aimed squarely at everyday professionals and busy individuals. So basically, people like you listening.
And his core idea, it's a real mindset shift. He says, you don't hire or delegate to grow your business. Do it to buy back your time.
Buy back your time. It sounds simple, but it's profound.
It really is. And this deep dive, it's all about understanding what that truly means, not just for your job, but for your whole life.
So our mission today, to give you a practical, honestly, and eye-opening guide to seeing time completely differently, like it's your ultimate currency.
And we'll show you actionable steps,
Yeah.
things you can actually do to protect that currency, multiply it, and then, yeah, give it real meaning.
Okay, let's dive in. Where does Martell start? He talks about his own experience, right?
He does. He shares this really personal story of hitting a wall, like serious burnout,
He was overloaded, working constantly, but still feeling like he was falling behind.
which is such a classic trap, isn't it?
Totally. We often think, okay, if I just work harder, put in more hours, I'll eventually get ahead.
That was his default answer for ages. And let's be honest, it's probably been ours too at times.
Guilty as charged.
Yeah, me too. But the big realization he had, the core truth that came out of that burnout was this. Most people try to earn more money so they can eventually feel free, but freedom comes from having time, not money.
Wow. Okay, say that again. Freedom comes from time, not money.
Exactly. And that's not just like a nice saying. It has huge implications. It forces you to think, okay, if time is the ultimate currency, am I accidentally, spending it on stuff that gives me zero return or even negative returns on my freedom?
That really changes how you look at every single decision, every minute.
It absolutely does.
So reframing time as the ultimate currency, that's huge. But how do we translate that thought into, well, action? What is this buyback principle actually about in practice?
Well, the principle itself, it's worth repeating because it's so key. You don't hire people to grow your business. You hire people to buy back your time.
Right. Not just for growth, but to buy back time.
Precisely. It's framing it as a direct investment, not just in efficiency or making more money, but in your quality of life.
Okay, quality of life. I like that.
And crucially, this isn't just for CEOs running massive companies. Martell stresses this. If you manage any tasks, if you juggle responsibilities, if you just feel constantly stretched thin, this applies to you.
So it's a strategic move for anyone, really, whether you're a professional, a parent, working a side hustle.
Exactly. It's about freeing up your own capacity, your own time and energy.
An investment in quality of life. Okay, that resonates. But, for a lot of us, we feel busy, but we don't even really know where the time is actually going. It just disappears.
That's so true. It just vanishes.
So what's Martell's first practical step? How do we start seeing things clearly?
Before you can even think about buying back time, you absolutely have to see where it's going now. So his first step is the time and energy audit.
Okay, an audit. What does that involve?
He recommends getting pretty granular, like tracking your tasks in 15-minute blocks.
15 minutes. Wow.
Yeah, over a typical week. It sounds intense, but
I can imagine. Just seeing that written down would be eye-opening.
it really is. So once you've got that log, that detailed picture of your week, what's the next layer? What does Martell suggest then?
Right. You don't just track it, you analyze it.
Exactly. You go back through that log and you mark each task with an energy rating. He uses simple colors. I ask for energy giving or for energy draining.
Okay, so green makes you feel good, energized. Red just sucks the life out of you.
Pretty much. And this is where you start seeing patterns. You'll quickly identify your personal pain line.
The pain line, what's that?
It's basically the threshold. It's the point below which tasks consistently frustrate you, exhaust you, or just plain drain your energy.
Ah, okay. The stuff you dread.
Yes. And Martell's goal, his advice is blunt. Stop doing everything below the pain line.
Stop doing it altogether.
Well, stop you doing it. These are the prime candidates, the tasks you should look to delegate or outsource or maybe automate first.
Okay, so what kind of things typically fall below that line?
Oh, it could be anything, really.
Yeah.
Think about household chores, definitely. Managing email, booking appointments, running errands,
Yeah, the admin stuff.
or even, certain types of emotional labor that just deplete you during the day. Anything that consistently makes you feel worse after doing it.
Stop doing everything below the pain line. Okay, that sounds amazing, but I can almost hear listeners thinking, but I have to do the laundry, or I can't just stop doing this part of my job.
Right, it sounds impossible for some things.
So how do you actually systematically get those things off your plate? That's where Martell's buyback loop comes in, right?
Exactly. It's not about making tasks disappear entirely. It's about getting them off your to-do list. And the buyback loop is his simple but really powerful three-step system for doing that systematically.
Okay, 3 steps. What are they?
First, you audit, which
Okay.
is what we just discussed, reviewing your schedule, looking at that time and energy log, and identifying those draining, time-wasting tasks below your pain line.
Got it. Audit first. Then step 2.
Step 2 is transfer.
Transfer. Okay, so that means delegating, outsourcing.
Yeah, basically systemizing or delegating those tasks you've identified, setting up a way for them to get done by someone or something else.
Okay. Audit, transfer.
Yeah,
And the third step. You said it's often overlooked.
it is. The third step is fill. And this is crucial. You have to consciously decide how you're going to reinvest that time you just freed up.
Reinvest it, not just let it get swallowed up by other random stuff.
Exactly. You need to fill it with meaningful, high-value activities. It's not about creating empty space or, worse, just doing more low-value work.
So what should you fill that time with? What does Martell suggest are good ways to use that reclaimed time?
He has some great examples. Things like strategic thinking about your career or life, maybe skill building, learning something new, genuine rest and recovery, which is huge,
Definitely important.
quality time with loved ones, or really anything that truly brings you joy, gives you energy back, or provides some kind of long-term return.
So it's not just about doing more, it's about doing better things with that time.
Precisely. It's about being incredibly intentional with the time you buy back.
That intentionality is key. But, okay, let's go back to the transfer step. For people who hear delegate and immediately think, that's impossible or I can't afford that, Martell has a really helpful framework. The replacement ladder, right?
Yes. The replacement ladder is fantastic because it makes delegation feel manageable, not overwhelming.
How does it work? It's like steps, I assume.
Yeah, exactly. It's a practical way to offload tasks gradually. You start at the bottom rung with low-cost, low-complexity tasks and work your way up as you get more comfortable or free up more resources.
Okay, so what's at the bottom?
At the very bottom, rung 1 is home and admin help. Think cleaning services, maybe laundry pickup, someone to run errands, simple stuff.
Stuff that frees up weekend time, maybe?
Exactly. Then the next step up could be virtual assistants. VAs can handle things like email filtering, calendar management, basic online research, booking travel.
Okay, that feels like a bigger step for some.
It can be, but there are VAs you can hire for just a few hours a week. Moving up again, you get to specialists. These are people with specific expertise: accountants, graphic designers, maybe tutors for your kids, a handyman.
People who do specific things better or faster than you could.
Right. Then you might have project managers or leads, someone to oversee a bigger initiative, maybe a home renovation or a complex project at work.
Taking coordination off your plate.
Exactly. And finally, at the very top of the ladder, you have leadership or delegates. These are people who can truly own entire areas of responsibility in your life or business.
That feels like a long way off for many people starting out.
It might be. But Martell's crucial advice here is, don't wait until you're rich or drowning. Start now, even with a few hours a week.
Just start somewhere on the ladder.
Yes. Buy back some time, even just an hour or two.
Yeah.
Get the ball rolling. That first step is often the hardest.
Starting small makes it feel way more achievable. But of course, delegating effectively. It isn't just dumping work on someone and hoping for the best. That usually leads to more stress, right?
Oh, absolutely. That's a recipe for disaster.
So to make sure the transfer is smooth, Martell gives us another framework. Campieuche. You mentioned it's about building systems.
Yes, CAMPS is all about making the delegation systematic and repeatable, so you're not constantly putting out fires.
Okay, break it down for us. CAMPS. What do they stand for?
Right. So C is for caption. This means you need to clearly record or write down exactly how you do the task. Create a process, like a checklist or a short video.
So the other person knows how to do it right. Makes sense.
A is for assign. Give the task to the right person or service someone you've identified using the replacement ladder, perhaps.
Okay. CAM.
M is for measure. You need some way to track the outcome and the quality. How do you know it's being done correctly and effectively? Define that up front.
Got it. Measure the results. P.
P is for pay. Set an appropriate value or compensation for the work. Ensure it's a fair exchange. This applies whether it's money or some other form of value.
Right. Acknowledge the value transfer. And
S is for share. Keep communication clear and regular. Provide feedback, answer questions, make sure expectations are aligned.
CAMPS. Capture, assign, measure, pay, share.
Exactly. And the big idea here is you're not just handing off work randomly. You're intentionally building systems around these tasks so they can run effectively without your constant hands-on involvement.
Systems, not just delegation. That feels much more sustainable.
Totally. And Martell emphasizes this works just as well for household tasks as it does for professional ones.
Okay, so let's say you're doing this. You're using the audit, the loop, the ladder, the CAMPS method. You're actually starting to buy back some time. That brings us back to the fill step. What do you do with this newfound time? Martell talks about time multipliers, right?
Yes, time multipliers. These are activities that don't just use time. They actually create more time or capacity in the future. They pay long-term dividends.
Okay, like what? Give me some examples.
Things like focused training or learning that increases your skills, making you faster or better later, strategic planning that prevents future problems, building key relationships that open doors or provide support, anything that improves your future outcomes.
Investing time now to get more leverage later.
Exactly. But here's where Martell brings up a really fascinating and kind of critical point. Self-sabotage.
Self-sabotage. How does that fit in?
He observes that sometimes people successfully buy back time, but then almost unconsciously, they just fill it back up again with distractions or more low-value busy work.
Huh. Why would someone do that?
Yeah.
It seems completely counterintuitive. You work hard to get freedom, then you just fill it with junk.
It often comes down to identity. For many of us, our sense of self-worth is deeply tied to being busy. We feel valuable because we're constantly doing...
Right, look how much I got done today, even if it wasn't important stuff.
Precisely. So having free time can actually feel uncomfortable or even make us feel lazy or unproductive because our identity is wrapped up in the hustle.
That's a really powerful insight.
It is, and Martell urges a fundamental shift in mindset. He says, you're not valuable because you do everything. You're valuable when you do the right things.
Things only you can do, or the high leverage thing.
Exactly. It's about shifting your self-perception from being a task doer to being a strategic allocator of your most precious resource, your time and energy. That's a huge aha moment for many people.
Moving from busy to intentional, that really ties everything together.
Yeah.
And leads to Martell's kind of ultimate goal, right? This idea of designing a life you don't need a vacation from.
Yes. That's the grand vision. It's not just about being more efficient at work so you can cram more in. It's about intentionally designing your whole life, work, home, everything so it aligns with your values, your passions, your real priorities without burning yourself out.
Living a life that feels sustainable and fulfilling day to day, not just waiting for the weekend or retirement.
Exactly. And he offers some powerful guiding questions to help you get clarity on that. Questions to ask yourself regularly.
Like what?
Questions like, what am I uniquely qualified to do?
Yeah.
What are the things that really leverage your unique talents?
Okay.
Also, what can I let go of? Which is directly tied to the pain line and delegation.
Makes sense.
Maybe the most powerful one. What would my ideal day look like? If you could design it, what would you actually be doing?
That's a big question.
It is. But these questions help you clarify what truly matters. And then the idea is you use the buyback principle, the ladder, the loop, all these tools to start building that ideal day bit by bit.
It's not about flipping a switch overnight.
No, definitely not. It's an ongoing process, a continuous cycle of auditing, transferring, and intentionally filling your time to move closer to that ideal.
Okay, this has been incredibly insightful. Let's try and distill it down. For you listening, what are the absolute key takeaways, the actions you can start thinking about right now?
Okay, first one, actually track your time this week, even for a few days, and rate your energy on each task, green or red. Just see what the data tells you.
Second, identify your pain line. What stuff consistently drains you? And then really commit to starting to offload something below that line.
Third, Delegate just one task this month. Seriously, just one, no matter how small. Get that first win, that first taste of buying back time.
Fourth, think systems, not just dumping tasks. Use something like the CAMP-ES framework, even informally. How can this task run without your constant input?
Fifth, and this is huge, when you free up time, be incredibly intentional about how you fill it. Use it for growth, for joy, for rest, not just more busy work. Protect that reclaimed time.
And finally, remember the buyback loop is a loop. Repeat it regularly. Audit, transfer, fill. It's a continuous process of refinement.
Absolutely, it's not a one-and-done thing.
And remember Martell's advice. You don't need to wait. You don't need permission. You don't need things to be perfect. You don't need that next promotion to start reclaiming your time.
Start small, start now.
So the final thought for you to chew on is this. What one small step could you take this week, maybe even today, to buy back your very first hour of true freedom?